Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Jack the Lad podcast. On today's episode we've got TJ Universe. He was a Jehovah's Witness minister for 5 years, a drag queen for 16 years, a circus performer for 8 years, and he has currently took up the art of a pen and paper, and he's took up a bit of writing. Please welcome on today's episode, TJ Universe.
Hello, everyone.
How are we doing today?
I am so good. Just been writing a little earlier this morning, speaking of, and yeah, my day's just getting started over on this side of the globe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's still, it's 6:30 now here, so it's pushing on an early morning in the morning, so yeah. Like I said, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It's like really appreciated. I was just really happy, obviously, to get a response from you, and then obviously we've sorted it and you're on. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I'm real excited.
Good. So I wanted to get you on. The reason obviously the 4 points that I've just listed are the obvious reasons. So Jehovah's Witness minister then, how does one, get into that sort of an outfit?
Well, it was kind of one of those things that it was just kind of like thrust upon me. So I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, and they do a little differently than what you might think of like a traditional minister. So they have it to where they kind of like train you in-house. And so I got baptized at 13. The way they have it set up is basically so that you can make the conscious decision, which I'm all for. And then the natural progression from there was, okay, well, we're Jehovah's Witnesses. Here's what we do. We knock on doors. Let's go. And I was this ministering. So if you can imagine me being like, hello, congregation. That was it.
So how many people did you have in your congregation then?
So in the church, quote unquote, we had probably about 100 people, but then we would go to like conventions where there would be thousands. And so, yeah, it was real interesting.
So what with that as a sort of minister, what are your sort of duties, your day-to-day sort of stuff?
Yeah, so everything is kind of divided up where you would think of other places. It's kind of like you have, like your preacher, and then it kind of trickles down from there. So it was kind of the same thing. So a lot of it was, I would do, 70 hours a month, like out preaching, knocking on doors, talking to people. And then I did a couple of Sunday sermons, and we would do like go to church 3 days a week. So there would be all sorts of different opportunities to get up in front of the congregation and talk and demonstrate and do all those kinds of fun things. But I would say the biggest portion was knock, knock, knock. Here I am.
So what do you still know the spiel that you used to give at the door?
Oh my gosh. It's been so long. So I want to say it with dramatic entrance. Like, hi, my name's TJ Stewart at the time. Now it would be, hi, I'm TJ Universe, and I'm here to talk about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Go on.
So you've just mentioned there, obviously, you did sort of breeze by it, obviously, that you now go by the name TJ Universe.
I do.
Could you give me a bit of a background on that and how that came about?
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird roundabout story, but first I have to test you. Have you ever seen the show Steven Universe?
No, I haven't.
Well, it's been so lovely talking to you. Goodbye.
I'll make a note.
So this started, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago. I met my now husband, and we were watching this cartoon, Steven Universe. It is a wonderful cartoon. If you've not seen it, I definitely suggest checking it out. And so we were kind of joking around one day, and he didn't really want to take his last name. We didn't really want to use my last name, so we were like, let's do something different.
Yeah.
Jokingly, I was like, well, let's be the universes. Ha 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 ha. And I look over and he was like, I mean, come on. So we toyed around with the idea, and then the pandemic happened. Fun times.
Yeah, tell me about
And
it.
I stopped performing for a couple years. And so at the time I was doing drag, and my stage name was Lachey Azrael. And so here, literally I'd say about a month ago, I was thinking about it and I was like, Lachey Azrael incorporates a lot of drag entertaining. And I was like, and then I want to change my name to TJ Universe. I was like, okay, let's wrap it all together. So now I am all encompassing TJ Universe, drag circus persona extraordinaire.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
indeed. I'm, I mean, I suppose it makes everything a lot more simpler as well.
It,
Um,
it really does.
so you touched on there, obviously, your now husband. How long have we been together?
We have been together for 5 years and married for one.
Oh,
Bow,
so
bow, bow,
yeah,
bow.
pretty new. Congratulations for back then. Um,
Thank you.
so you've again, you as we go through, and as I alluded to at the start of the podcast, uh, you being a drag queen for 16 years.
Hmm?
So how old were you when you started that?
I was okay. Let me think about this. I'm so bad with time. So if there is not a date involved, don't trust me. So I know I started October 18th of 2007. So I would have been 19 at the time.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So right at 15 years, 16 years.
All right. And how did how did you get into that? I mean, apart from the obvious.
Right. Right. Well, so I was still a Jehovah's Witness at the time. And we had just moved into a new apartment. I was still living with my parents. And as I'm casually walking up the stairs, I peek over and I see, well, I assume that the people I'm looking at that are my neighbors, I was like, they seem different. They were all gay. And so I remember like sneaking out of the house and going and sitting on the steps and just waiting, like hoping somebody would come and talk to me. I was just like, friends, we need to know each other.
And did it work?
And so it worked. It
Yeah.
did. And now they know I stalked them. So fun times.
Hey, if it's all for a good cause.
Right, if it works.
Exactly. Yeah. No problem with that at all.
So yeah, we started talking, and one of them literally just kind of grabbed me by the face. It was just like, "You would make a beautiful woman." And at the time, I had never even. I think the only drag queen that I had ever even heard of was RuPaul back when RuPaul had the talk show way back in the 90s. And so I was like, ew, that's weird. No, I'm good. Thank you. And they kept going and they were like, no, you should try it. You should try it. You should try it. So finally, in secret, very hush hush, I went to the Halloween store and got the worst Elvira wig you can imagine. And went to the thrift store, got my costume together. We go to a bar and it's their open mic night. And I'm going to have to just back up for this. I hit the stage, the crowd went up, and that was it. It was over. As soon as I heard the applause, I was like, I'm home. I'm home. And I have not stopped since.
I hope the outfits got a bit better.
The outfits got a lot better, promise.
That's all I took from that story. I was like, I hope the outfits got better in them 16 years.
I mean, you would think with doing it that long, you would hope some things got better.
You would, unless they're trying to force you off the stage and you're still trying to get on there.
My crowd needs me.
So within the drag queen stuff, I think I'm fairly I might be butchering this completely, but I'm pretty sure it's going around England at the minute. There's sort of a drag queen thing going on for kids. And
okay, yeah.
Yeah, and they're going around, or it's I think it's aimed at, I want to say, it's like early kids, like from, I don't like kids 3, 4 up to like 11, I think, something like that. And there's obviously a very mixed bag on that. There's few, well, I would say they're wrong, but that think it's that because drag queens are very sexualized, it's putting a bad influence onto children. But for a child, or for my opinion, my sort of 10 pence is that a child doesn't understand any of that anyway. They just think that's a man playing dress up, and that's what they do. You know, my boy does, and I did when I was a kid. And so, yeah, for me, obviously they're really in the weeds with it, and you know that what I would have thought that we would disagree on a lot of things if I spoke to these people.
Right.
But it's just like, and yeah, so what basically I'm getting at, it took a fucking while, but what do you ever get any sort of, you know, negativity sent your way from sort of, you know, closed-minded people?
Oh, absolutely. Um, you know, and we have something here that they call drag queen story time, where your local drag queen will go to a library and read kids' books. And it is, let me say it's absolutely harmless. And it really is just us playing dress up, being like, we want to have a good time and we want to have fun. We love kids. Like, kids are great, especially when you have this ridiculous costume on. They are just like, just wide eyed. um, but yeah, here in America, it's I've definitely had some people like say some things and been in some slightly rough situations. But I will say it is getting so much better, so much more accepting. And the truth is, it really is just a costume for most of us. Drag is it's just performance. And while we're generally with a 21 and up crowd who is enjoying their alcoholic beverage, we are obviously going to provide a different show for that than if we are at a children's library.
Well, yeah, it's exactly that. Like, you don't, if, for example, if Liam Neeson was at a book signing, or Tom Cruise, or any of them, an adult, you know, a parent would take a kid to that, but then that bloke shoots people on TV.
Right,
He murders
exactly.
the whole film. He kills hundreds of people throughout the whole film, but you're cool with your kid shaking his hand. Like, it's the same thing, because it's going to be two different shows. He's not going to be shooting people to start with. I'd like to think you wouldn't at a book signing or what, a film premiere. But yeah, and it's just, I just don't get it. The people, like, I was listening to it while I was driving, and this guy come on and was like, well, it's just sexualizing children, isn't it? Really, like, oh, it's terrible, really. We're showing them that at that age, and I was like, get over yourself, pal. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, the funniest part is you look at a cartoon, and so many cartoons have male characters in female clothing. The Powerpuff Girls. Oh goodness, Dexter's Laboratory. So many cartoons. Adventure Time. So it's not new. It's just different.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. So what, if you don't mind me asking, like what sort of slurs do you get thrown at you? What do people say? Because I live, people would say, in the sticks. Really, it's quite countryside-y with me. I'm in a little village outside of a bigger town, but for me personally, I've never experienced it. I've never witnessed anyone do it, in front of my eyes directly. Not that I can think of. But
I mean, that's a good thing.
Quite removed. I don't have many connections with gay people. Or do I? I don't know, actually. I'm just trying to
think. In the comments, launch all your LGBT friends that are just like, rah! No.
But maybe I'm just that sort of open to it that I don't even see it anymore. I'm just like, yeah, cool, it's fine. It is what it is.
Well, the funny, I say it's funny, but like legitimately, it's kind of sad. But I was raised in the southern United States, which is kind of known for being less tolerant of people who fit outside the box. So I feel like I was training my whole life, because being a person of color, you would get some names that you can imagine. Yeah. And especially because my dad is Black and my mom is Czech. So we have an interracial couple in a very prejudiced situation. So I got a lot of that growing up, and again, it's getting better. But so when I started drag and I started hearing like, oh, faggot, like, oh, you're a queer. You always have to get that grunt in there with it too. Yeah. I was just kind of like, I'm fabulous and I can do a flipping 6-inch heels. Don't mess with me. Rules for life.
That is pretty impressive.
It's pretty ridiculous.
I can't do a flip in nothing. So what has changed for you in your lifetime? What have people got better at doing with regards to the gay community, LGBTQ community, whilst you've been growing up? And what do you think there hasn't been much change in it that could?
Ooh, that's a good one. Like, one, just the recognition has gotten incredible, because, like, many people know the show Will and Grace. That, to me, was the first thing where somebody was blatantly LGBT main cast. And so I was just like, whoa. But now you have every show on Netflix. Thank you. You have RuPaul's Drag Race. So there's just on and on and on. So there's just a lot of exposure, which is great, because people from every age. I mean, we see 10-year-olds to 80-year-olds, like, and even past that, really starting to like see themselves in certain scenarios. So that's been really awesome. And that's opened up a lot of conversations. And yeah, so that part is great. And I think we're finding that we were a little more accepted than we even thought, really, at least in America. So that's been good. But there's definitely still, with like drag queen story time, there's still people who really think that we are in it for the wrong reasons. But no, we just like to perform. We love a crowd, and nobody screams like a child. You tell them a group of adults, like, make some noise, it's a party, and they're like, woo, yeah.
Yeah.
You tell a group of kids, and they're like, ah! Fireworks are in the background. They're doing flips with you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
they're
a
loving
great
it.
time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, where, how often do you do that then?
Um, well, so pre-pandemic, I was probably doing maybe 2 to 3 shows a week, depending. Post-pandemic, we're starting to get into like people are starting to have events. Um, and that's more where my circuses come in, just because I can be on stilts and be more away from everybody and still keep everybody safe. And so I'm starting to cycle back into performing. So we'll see in the next little bit how often that is.
Yeah. So, obviously, you've touched on it again. Into the circus performer. You've been
Yeah.
doing that for the last 8 years.
Hmm.
So, how did that come about? Was it something from the drag queen scene that you then? I'm assuming
You
it
would think
was. Okay.
it wasn't. It wasn't at all. So I love telling this story. And if my now friend slash ex boyfriend Justin is listening, sorry, not sorry. This is great. So I was dating my now best friend Justin, and we he was like, "Hey, I've got this friend who's doing this event. We should go." And I was like, "Okay, I know nothing about it, but you said event, which translates in my mind to party. Let's go." Like I'm getting in the car. And so what it was is uh, a group back in my home of Tennessee, USA, called Dragonfly was doing a what they call a student showcase. So basically, the people who were attending their school were there to present their skills for their friends and family. And I saw somebody go into the air, and that was it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. The funniest part about that is that the time I was like, oh, I want to do this, or I'm going to do this. There was a list. Long story short, we fast forward 3 years and I run into Justin again, who at this point we hadn't seen each other at all. And he was like, so how you doing? Like, what's going on? To which I responded, let me tell you, I have now done A, B, C, D, E. And one of those things was performing in the circus. So I trained with Dragonfly and got to do all sorts of really awesome events, from beer festivals to working at Dolly Parton's theme park to I got to do a beer festival in St. Louis one time, and one of their headliners canceled, couldn't make it the day of. Their ride broke down. And so the person running it comes in and is like, so this person can't make it. We're kind of unsure what to do. And so I just popped my hand up and I was like, I brought some circus fabrics. They were like, done. So I got to impromptu perform on the main stage of the beer festival with 10,000 people. Dreams come true.
Yeah, nice. That was going to be my next question. What's the performance that stood out for you?
I think that would definitely be one of them. Just because I thrive on being in the spotlight. I just love it. I love attention. I'm not gonna lie. So just performing in front of that many people was incredible. Um, but I think probably, ooh, there's so many. Um, I think performing at Dolly Parton's theme park would probably stand out the most, just because the costuming was awesome. They had costumes provided for us, and that they even met with us prior to get the do's and don'ts for the event that we were doing, and what we needed as circus performers, which was awesome. Uh, they had staff there to help us constantly and make sure that we were safe, everybody else was safe, just because, you have a person walking in stilts who is 8 feet tall and somebody, kids running up being like, I want to hug your leg. Um, so they were just awesome to work for, and just a constant stream of people coming in and talking and taking pictures and high-fiving, and it was the most fun that I could imagine at an event. I loved it.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Oh, it was. Dolly, bring me back.
So you've done the drag queen. You've been a drag queen and also been in the circus alongside
Mhm.
each other. Then
Yeah. I when I wanted to do circus, like, my very first thought was, what a great drag performance to be in the full get up and be like, oh, and this. So it really was a way for me to enhance my performance, which I was already doing anyways. I would take belly dancing classes or pole dancing classes or all sorts of things to just tweak my performance a little bit.
yeah. Anything, anything is reps, isn't it, for your end goal? It's always,
Exactly.
yeah, it's always. I'm trying to tell my daughter at the minute that you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not trying, if you're not putting 100% into it, there's someone out there that is.
Right. There's definitely, I mean, especially now, you look at like RuPaul's Drag Race, and these ladies are just, woo, they are up there. And, especially once they win once and come back, and then then it's just incredible. So, yeah, anything to make you stand out. But I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
I heard somebody say this one time, and it got me. It really, really got me. He goes, somebody out there is getting paid far more and doing far less than what you're doing. So why not get out there? And I was like, you're right. Like, there is no reason for, whatever it is, whether it's writing or being a drag queen, or, if you want a new job, like you want to run in the park, go do it. Just go do it, because somebody else is already out there doing it. So there's no reason you can't.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It just seems to me a lot of people these days are quick to just sort of keep everyone's the same. Like my boy's just started football, and up and I think for his age now at under sevens, they don't keep score. So it's
Oh,
just
okay.
so it'd be soccer for you. They don't keep score, and they're not allowed to head the ball apparently because of CTE. Because obviously that's the sort of hot topic at the minute in the sports world. So they're not allowed to head it. I mean, I've been playing football my whole life, 33. I don't think I've got CTE. I think I'm pretty all right. Up top, I'm pretty switched on. And I've played. Yeah, I like lived playing football. Basically, I used to play like 5-6 times a week. And yeah, it's just there's so much that's changed with the kids.
Right.
For me personally, and this, if you disagree, that's fine. I'm cool to debate it with you. If you take away the winning and the losing, it will prevent them from achieving greatness, because they'll think that mediocrity is the norm?
Okay. You know, I haven't thought about that subject a whole lot, but something that I would compare that to is I did drag pageants. I competed nationally and I lost bad. I lost real bad. But it really helped me realize that I was a medium-sized fish in a small pond at the time. And so losing that caused me to look at my drag, my performance, and be like, I'm not where I want to be. And I upped my game by a lot after that. So,
Yeah.
me personally, I think it's important to learn to lose and to lose gracefully.
Yeah, definitely. I just think that if you look at any sport in the world, any professional athlete, they've had to have won and had to have lost at some point within their career, because it wouldn't. It's. I think Kobe Bryant used to. It or said, it was on a statement, one of these motivational things, that I think it's something about talent. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you, I think I just did say it earlier. Like, if you don't put the effort in, someone else will. And there's lots of people that have got all the talent in the world at, say, football or basketball or whatever it is, but if you can't just get by on talent, and saying to them that it's not a competition either. So even if you are good, it doesn't matter. And if you're really bad, it also doesn't matter. So there's no incentive for a team to say, necessarily field the best side or whatever it is. There's that competitive edge that's the match is being completely ripped from under them. And I just think it's wrong. I
Yeah.
think it's like for a job, as they get older, you have to compete for a job. It's not just one. As soon as you walk in, right? Yep, you've got the job because you aced it. I've just walked in and said my name. Do you know what I mean? So I just think it's setting them up for failure with that.
Yeah, like it's to get all that.
I
if
can
it were
slow mo it.
me, and again, I'm just me with my opinions. We all have them. But I would think that it would be more important to teach somebody that it's okay to fail. Because, and especially like, I think one of the greatest examples of this, or at least one of the most common ones that we hear here in America, everybody knows Starbucks coffee. Everybody knows Starbucks. And here, I don't know about there, but here they are on every corner. And when the owner of Starbucks went to apply for, I want to say it was his loan to get started, he got turned down like 30 something times from what I read. Again, please don't quote me on that. But the point is, you keep going. And failures are great because they teach you what to do and what not to do and how to improve. And it shows you where you can make improvements. So, personally, I think it would be better just to learn how to win and how to fail than as opposed to evening the playing field, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more on that. Well, that's it for this week's episode, everybody. If you want to stay tuned for next week, and we'll be going through TJ's graphic novel and many other things. So keep in touch. Catch you later, everybody.
Bye, everyone.